Happy Friday, first graders! I'm wearing my Mustang Pride shirt. I hope you are too. This is actually going to be our last reading video together. Me and Miss Tapia and Miss Price, we were talking and we decided for the last week of school, we're going to try to have a lot of whole group meetings instead of video lessons. So this will be our last reading video lesson for the year. Can you believe it? Wow. Well, it's going to be a really fun lesson and a really useful and important lesson, and I can't wait to do it with you guys, so thank you for being here. In order to get started today, you're going to need a turn and talk partner. I will be again conversing with Whidbey the second, and today you are actually going to need your notebook, and something to write with. So go ahead and get those things now. Okay, now that you have your materials ready, let's get started. I'm going to have us read our objective today so we know what we're doing. I can find the moral or the lesson of the story by thinking about the problem and what the character learned. Will you read it with me this time? Here you go. I can find the moral or the lesson of the story by thinking about the problem and what the character learned. Okay, so maybe you've heard those terms, moral or the lesson of the story. Remember, this week we're doing our grade 8 reading strategies for the Proudest Blue, and the last one we had left was to evaluate and synthesize. So in order for us to evaluate and decide if we like it or not, and for us to synthesize, really get some deeper understanding, I want us to think about the lesson or the moral of the story. So for now, I'm going to put this to the side, and I'm going to show you guys all about moral. So the moral is the lesson the author is teaching you. There's some hearts around the moral because I like to think of moral as the heart of the story. Will you do this with me? Show a heart with your hands. Nice job. And say moral, the heart of the story. Nice job. Yeah, the moral or the lesson is the heart of the story. And in order to find the moral in a story, there's a couple things you can do. You can think first, what is the problem in the story? Then think, what is the solution and the resolution? So solution often means a happy ending or a happy way that the problem got fixed. And resolution means the story ended, but it might not have been a happy ending. You can also think, what does the character learn in the story? And then finally you can think, can you use that lesson that the character learned in your life? Does that lesson apply to you? If it does, you've probably found a lesson or a moral of that story. So in order for us to do that with the Proudest Blue today, we're going to practice finding the moral or the lesson in a couple of different short stories. So I have some very short stories here, and I'm going to read them to you. While I read them to you, I want you to be thinking, what is the problem? What's the solution or the resolution in these short stories? What does the character in the story learn? And can you use that lesson in your life? Ready? First story. Sonja wanted a new bike. Her parents told her that she would have to pay for the bike herself. Sonja didn't have enough money to buy the bike. Over the summer, Sonja earned money by washing cars, mowing the lawn, and babysitting. By the end of the summer, Sonja had enough money to buy the bike that she wanted. What do you think the lesson or the moral of this story is? We're given some options at the bottom of this page. It could be A, hard work pays off. B, working in the summer is fun. C, being lazy is wrong. Or D, Sonja's parents are mean. So these multiple choice can help us, but let's think about our chart too. What was the problem? She wanted a new bike, but she didn't have money. What was the solution? Well, she did a lot of work doing a whole bunch of stuff over summer, and then she had enough money and she bought the bike. So what did Sonja learn? Sonja probably learned that it's really worth it to like work hard for what you want, and then you'll achieve it. You'll get what you want if you work hard. And I wonder if we can use that in our life. Can I think about that in my life? If I work hard, I can get what I want too. Yeah, I could use that in my life. So I can figure out that the lesson of this story must be that hard work pays off. And you can say that a couple of different ways, but that's one way to say the lesson of this story. Does that make sense? Let's try another one. Here's another story. One day, a student named Matt told the class he heard they were getting a new teacher. The whole class was in an uproar and upset. They loved their teacher and didn't want a new teacher. Some students started to cry. Other students wrote goodbye letters. When the teacher entered the room, she asked the class what was wrong. The class told her, and she told them that she wasn't leaving. They had been given wrong information. What is the moral of this story? What was the problem? The student Matt told the class that the teacher was leaving. What was the solution, the resolution? It ended up being that the teacher actually wasn't leaving, that information from Matt wasn't true. What did the characters learn? Maybe what did the kids in that class who got really upset, what did they learn? Okay, I'm going to give you the multiple choice and I want you to try to think what it is that they learned. And if you pick one, think, can you use that lesson in your life? A, you should not believe everything you hear or overreact. B, you should not trust people named Matt. C, treat others the way you want to be treated. D, don't judge someone by their looks. What do you think is the moral of this story? Tell your partner, do you think it's A, B, C, or D? Come on, tell. What would be the second? Whippy, I think that it's A. What do you think? Okay. Oh my gosh, yes, if you said A, you are right. The lesson of this story is really, don't believe everything you hear. Sometimes people are not telling the truth, and we can't just believe everything that they say. So don't believe everything you hear. That's what the kids learned in this story, that they shouldn't have listened to Matt and freaked out before they got to hear from the teacher herself. And in my life, I don't know Matt, I don't know this teacher, I don't know these kids, so I can't be too specific and say, oh, I should have learned to not listen to Matt. No, that's not something I can use in my life. But what I can use in my life is, don't believe everything I hear. Okay, let's try another one. I think you guys are getting better and better at this. This one says, Morgan dreaded doing the mile run in PE, but almost every year Morgan was one of the last kids to finish the mile. It was hard for Morgan. She decided to start practicing at home. The first time Morgan ran at home, she fell down. Morgan got back up and ran. The second time Morgan tried to run, she was stung by a bee and had to stop. Morgan kept practicing though. When it came time to run the mile at school, she didn't dread it. In fact, Morgan was the first student to finish the mile. She was so excited, Morgan knew her practice paid off. Okay, what was the problem? Morgan hated running the mile. What was the solution? She ended up practicing a bunch and she was the fastest the next year. What did she learn? Can you use that in your life? I think this is a pretty easy one, so I'm not even going to give you the multiple choice. What do you think is the big lesson? This is a common lesson. Go ahead, turn and tell your partner. Oh my goodness, I wonder if you said that the lesson she learned is to never give up. Or maybe you said something like, always keep trying or try your best. Yes, if you said something like that, that is the lesson of this short story. Nice job. She learned that she had to just keep trying and not give up, and she was able to get better and better. Awesome job. Okay, we're gonna do one more practice. You guys are really good at these. One more practice before we think back to our story, The Proudest Blue. Okay, last short story. Think of the lesson, the heart of the story. Jose always shared his crayons, pencils, and glue with his classmates. It didn't matter if you were his friend or not. Jose always shared. One day, Jose forgot his snack at home. Many of his classmates offered to share their snack with Jose. Jose didn't go hungry because his classmates shared their snacks. Wow, what is the moral of this story? What was the problem? Jose, at the end, he had forgotten his snack at home. And what was the solution? Oh, his classmates shared their snacks with Jose. What did he learn? In the beginning, it told us he always shared his things with his classmates. Even if they weren't his friends, he would always share. Do you think that he learned A, try to make everyone happy, B, never trust an enemy, C, treat others the way you want to be treated, or D, don't be forgetful, you might go hungry? Whatever you choose, think, can you use that lesson in your life? Does it make sense for this story? Does it have to do with the problem and the solution? Okay, maybe you are thinking it is C. You are correct. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Jose always was so nice and shared with everybody, and then guess what? When Jose needed somebody to share with him, they did, because he had always treated them kindly. They treated him kindly. And we can use that lesson in our life. We know we should treat others the way that we want to be treated. Wow, great job. Okay, that was a good warm-up. My brain feels like very awake, ready to really think about moral and lesson in The Proudest Blue. So, I want you to think, what is the lesson the author was teaching you in this story? Let's use these thought questions to help us think about the lesson. So, first question, what is the problem? Do you remember the problem in this story? Oh yeah, that's right. Remember? There were some boys yelling at Asya about her hijab. And they were making fun of her, being rude. It happened twice. Do you remember? That's the problem in the story. And what was the solution? Oh yeah, remember? Asya, she turned away with her friends. She just ignored them. And she kept her hijab on. She didn't let them bother her. And remember what the mom had said? Mom had some really wise words, some morals or lessons for the girls. She said, don't carry around the hurtful words that others say. Drop them. They are not yours to keep. They belong only to those who said them. They also had some really great words from Mama on this other page. Do you remember this one? Ooh, let me find it. Ooh, look at this one. Mama had said, some people won't understand your hijab, Mama had said. But if you understand who you are, one day they will too. Ooh, so those are nice little nuggets of lessons from their mom that help us understand the lesson in the story too. Okay, so we thought about the problem, we thought about the solution. What does the character learn? It seems like both sisters learned something in this story. What do you think they learned? And then, can you use that lesson in your life too? Remember, you're not Asya and you're not Faiza. You might not wear a hijab. So don't be too specific in your lesson and make it all about the hijab. Think about something a little bit bigger, less specific. Think a little bigger. What lesson did Faiza and Asya learn that we can use in our lives too? Okay. go ahead, turn and tell your partner what you're thinking. And you can use the stem. The moral of the story is, and then you can tell your partner why you think that. You could say, I think this because, Okay, go ahead. How did it go? Oh my goodness. I am so curious about your discussion with your partner about the lesson or the heart of this story, the moral. So let's see. I wonder if you have come up with the same idea as me and Wibby. And remember, it might be a little bit different because this story, when I was thinking about it, there's many lessons that you can learn from this story. So if you don't have the exact same one as me, but yours still makes sense, then that's still good. Then that still is a lesson in the story, okay? So what I was thinking the lesson was, because of the problem and the solution we discussed, and because it seemed like Faiza learned not to really worry about those boys who were bullying her sister, because her sister Asia was so confident and ignored them. She learned it's okay for her sister to be herself and be proud. And I think that's a lesson that I can use in my life, is to be proud of who I am too, even if other people might make fun of me. So I put that down. The lesson here, I think, is be proud of who you are. Did you say the same thing? Did you say something a little different? That's okay. Does this lesson make sense to you for this story? Did Faiza learn to be proud of who she is, and watching Asia being proud of who she is? I think so. Awesome! Wow, you guys. So we found the moral of the story, the heart of this story. And it's such a strong, beautiful moral, such a great lesson. And I'm sure whichever lesson or moral you thought about with your partner is also a great one too. So that's so good. Kiss your brain. Mwah. So well done. Now that we thought about the moral and the lesson, let's take a moment and look back at our Grade 8 strategies. Keeping what we've just discussed in mind, now we can better evaluate or synthesize what we thought of this book. So now I want you to think, did you like the book or not? So that's evaluating. And we already synthesized because we thought of the lesson. So we synthesized, we thought of the lesson. Now I want you to evaluate. I want you to turn and tell your partner, did you like this book? Why or why not? Go ahead. Oh, it filled my heart too. Yeah. Oh, we were just talking about how we said we really love this book because this book is such a beautiful story about being proud of who you are, and it's a beautiful story about sisters, and we really like it. It made our heart feel so full. So I hope you liked the story too, especially after being able to find the lesson of the story. Awesome job, guys. Okay, so we have finished our Grade 8. I'm going to put up here what we said too. You don't have to write it down, but I'm going to write it down. We already talked about the lesson down here. The lesson is to be proud of who you are, and I'm going to put what my evaluation is right here. So I'm saying I like this book because it teaches an important lesson and it has beautiful illustrations too. Great. There's a lot of reasons why I like this book. Cool. Okay, friends, the last assignment that you have to do for our reading lessons for the rest of the year, the school year, this is the last one. You're going to make sure you write down what you said with your partner when you were talking about the moral of the story. If you had a hard time finding it on your own, that's okay. You can use the moral that we came up with together and just explain how it makes sense to you. So you're going to get your notebook and it's going to say, and you're going to write down, the moral of the story is blank. I think this because blank. And then you can draw a picture showing the moral or the lesson of the story, right? And we're thinking about of the proudest blue, okay? So for me, I would write down the moral of the story is be proud of who you are. I think this because Asia showed that she was proud of who she was and ignored people who were being mean to her. That's what I would write. And then I might draw a picture of Asia and her sister Faisa, and both of them looking proud. Okay, so that's the last assignment. You're gonna take a picture of that and turn that in to your teacher, and you'll be all done. Awesome job. Okay, friends, I'm so excited. I'm sad that it's the end of the school year, but I'm excited that we've spent so much time together learning and reading awesome books. Let's close up today by thinking about our objective one more time. Here we go. I can find the moral or the lesson of the story by thinking about the problem and what the character learned. Today, we did that. We thought about the moral or the lesson by thinking about the problem, the solution, what the characters learned, and if you can use that in your life. Remember, if you can't use it in your life and it's too specific to the story, you gotta think a little harder about what the lesson must truly be. I hope that you guys will look for lessons in your own books at home. And I also hope you'll remember to try all these great 8 strategies during summer when you're reading your new books. I know a lot of us are getting new books from the book fair. So I'm so excited for you to try this out with all those new books. I hope you have a lot of fun. Make sure to read a lot over summer so you get extra ready for 2nd grade. And I will see you guys later. Okay, bye.